of the morning talk show where we discuss magic. If you got questions, I've got answers, and wherever you are in this world, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, you brew up your cup of magic. I got my coffee. I'm not sponsored by McDonald's, but I do have a McCafe today because the coupons came in the mail for their delicious breakfast sandwiches. So I'm rocking some McCafe this morning. Some might say it's better than Tim Hortons. Some might not. There's a little bit of debate around that in Canada. But good morning to everyone. We are now starting with our new time slot. If you want to watch the show, you got to be here at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. But we're now doing it at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, Mondays to Fridays, still a daily morning show. But just remember, it's now wound back super early, way earlier than for the last few months. Time is now changing because I'm going back to university in the fall. So it's got to dodge my classes, basically. But we're still keeping, for as long as people are going to keep showing up, like hot chocolate and satamane, then we're gonna keep the morning show rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling, and those ads are gonna keep rolling. How do you think that? How do you think? What do you think pays for the show? Actually, it's not really the ads. Or ads contribute significantly little in the grand scheme of things. Pan Hernandez, good morning. Yeah, so like grab your cup of magic. Let's talk magic. And we could dive right into the Zendikar spoilers. Like the spoilers keep coming out like crazy. And let me do some adjustments here in the back end. Let's see what's going on. There's already a new Grim Ducky, good morning. The coffee is extra strength this morning. Yes. We are strong with the coffee. Hot Chocolate says 12 a.m. here sure beats 2 a.m. Okay, you're from Asia. I believe you're from Asia, that or Europe, but I think Europe is only like 7-8 hours ahead of me. Let's see. Zendikar spoilers. Okay, so there was like a new red Ponza card that was just revealed yesterday. Very strong, very influential. Definitely going to see modern play. Where is it? Are we on the other? We're on the wrong side. Here, where's? Wow, I didn't even know these creatures existed. Even look on the right side. Boom, cleansing wildfire. This is gonna see modern play, 100%. So red and one generic sorcery. Destroy target land. It's basically destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle their library, draw a card. Again. Always drawing a card. So this is like Path to Exile, but for lands instead of for creatures. Actually, very flavorful card. Destroys a land and something fresh comes and replaces it. But you can bet really good money that Cleansing Wildfire is absolutely going to see modern play to beat the Tron decks, the Amulet decks, to beat Eldrazi Tron, to hit Blast Zones. I'm actually relatively happy that this card is going to exist because anyway, it's for example, I don't even do that well against Amulet in the grand scheme of things, and I know Blood Moon's come back and basically hurt the Amulet decks pretty hard, but still more land destruction, which of course Merfolk doesn't really care about. Cleansing Wildfire, my Mutavault. I really don't care. Mutavault doesn't even exist very long on the battlefield thanks to Field of Ruin, but this is going to be a card definitely going to see play. Why does it need to draw a card though? Why does everything draw a card now? Because like there might be there might be some deck that's going to utilize this with Confounding Conundrum. Where's Confounding Conundrum? Like these two pair really well. You play your Confounding Conundrum and then you start blowing things up. And the thing is, all these cards draw cards, right? So you can cantrip into one another. I don't know. I think Wizards is playing with fire when it comes to the cantrips of all these cards. Because does Path to Exile draw a card? Would they do that? No, they wouldn't do that. I don't know. I guess they want. Yeah, blue white Ponza has evolved into Jeskai Ponza. Definitely could be possible. Is the control again? Actually, you know what? Yeah. Jacob Kaminsky probably would really love this card in his Blue Moon deck, because now not only do you have the option of playing Blood Moon, but you also have Cleansing Wildfire, and Cleansing Wildfire just might be better. I mean, sure, Blood Moon, locks out all the lands, but you can't rely on drawing it, and doesn't cantrip. This thing cantrips, and you still get rid of the Tron mana, which is overall very important. Oh, we have everybody showing up for the super morning show. Like, now this is a morning show. It turned into like sort of an afternoon show, but now we've got a morning show. Let's see. Kwan Morse, this is early? No, this is not early. This is the new time slot. Go check out the rules. Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. This is to accommodate my classes going into the fall. So we're now going to be doing this 9 o'clock a.m. from now on for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be good for some people. It's good. Hey, if you go to work during the show and now this is early enough, so before you go to work, that might be great. Good morning, TBCP. Nice avatar. Love the raccoon Mario. Yes. Hello. Good morning, Thai Iced Tea. Oh, Australia. Yeah, Victoria. Okay, yeah, but still in the so not Asia, but far enough. Yeah, I know what you mean. You have the Asian time zone. You can sort by date at the top. I can do that. I'm not. I'm a dummy. Yeah, this is the new stream time, Thomas T1980. This is a new stream time. Get used to it, because this is how it's going to be for a while. This is how it's going to be for a while. Yeah, for anyone who's a fan of Yargle, I mean, where are those? I can't. I'm not going to look for it. I don't know where it is, but there's going to be like a secret lair Yargle, and it's just like generic good Magic cards, but with Yargle pictures on them. I think there's like a Yargle on a Anger the Gods. I think there's one on a Rest in Peace. Well, anyway, if anyone has a link to the Yargle stuff, I'll show it. I love Cleansing Wildfire. It's a fixed Geomancer's Gambit. I don't even know what Geomancer's Gambit is. Yeah, but like Veil of Summer was like a fixed Veil of Autumn, and we didn't like it. Fixed, you say? I don't think this is fixed. This is just an improvement. Wow, and this is from Modern Horizons. So what happened is they invented this card in Modern Horizons: destroy target land, put a land on the battlefield, draw a card, and they realized no one played it. No one played this card. Okay, let's just shave a mana cost off of it. That's what we're gonna do. And you know what? And if this thing doesn't see play at 2 mana, they'll just make it 1 mana, just like Path to Exile. That's what's gonna happen. Anyway, well, I guess they really want to see these cards being played. And you know what? I can sort of feel to that philosophy, but I think there's something dangerous about making cards cheap enough with draw a card attached to it, because then they're just like cantrips with it's like playing Opt with a spell attached to it, you know? Cantrips with a spell attached to it, that's you're playing with fire a little bit. Especially if it's cheap enough, especially at 2 to 1 mana, especially at 1 mana. There's a new common merfolk, slightly good. What's the name? I would live through another Eldrazi winter if it meant I'd get more allies printed from Zendikar. Seriously, was it the code 0 allies? Well, but there's no Eldrazi. The Eldrazi are gone. They were defeated. So you're on Zendikar, but no Eldrazi. If there's no one to fight, there are no allies. Now it's time to party. Oh yeah, party on Zendikar. Get your wizards, and wizard is the only type that I remember that you need to have in your party, but whatever. Hey, Osanic. Going out today, so we'll be in and out of chat. No problem. 5x5. New common merfolk cleric slightly useful. Okay, what the hell is everyone talking about? Merfolk cleric? It's not this thing, is it? Because I can't read what this is. Merfolk Windrobber. Okay, there's a new cleric. Wizard. Rogue. Where's the Merfolk Cleric? Come on, you got to give me names here, people. Like, if you don't know about the card, neither do I. Oh, is it this one? Is this the Merfolk Cleric? Oh, it is a Cleric of the Cold Abyss. When Cleric of the Cold Abyss blocks a creature, that creature can't untap during its controller's untap step. This is crap. This is absolute crap. If it was 2 mana, sorry, if it was 2 power, we could be talking here. But at 1 power, this is not going to attack. It's going to very poorly block everything. Dies to bolt. Dies to removal. Dies to removal. We can't rely on this. That's for sure. Isn't it a bit of a non-bo to give them basics for Moon? I mean, you don't need. Well, I mean, it depends. You can blow up their. Actually, this is okay. Let's get back to this card. This is a great question. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna have this question. So, Cleansing Wildfire destroys lands, and like I said, could be put in a Blue Moon deck. And Jason Dog asks, isn't it a bit of a non-bo to give them basics for Moon? But the thing is, in a Blood Moon deck, people usually fetch their basics first, which is of a very limited quantity, and then they have to use them in addition to their non-basics, which are all held down by Blood Moon. Cleansing Wildfire allows you to blow up the basics that they have, and most decks aren't going to have many copies of those basics, so they're going to end up searching out nothing, or they're going to search out a basic land of a different color. But anyway, the decks with basics have limited number of basics, so Cleansing Wildfire could potentially just destroy the few mana sources that the player can use. Because against a Blood Moon deck, the very first thing you do is you fetch out the basics, because you can't rely on your non-basics in the match. So I think actually it's still going to be good in a Blood Moon deck, even when a Blood Moon is on the battlefield. I was wondering who was streaming this early when I saw the notification. How many bad merfolk got spoiled last night? Basically a billion. Okay, I mean, okay, so I think in my opinion, the best merfolk that got spoiled, where is it? It's this one. This is actually hands down the best one. And the reason is, it's a land, but you can randomly have a 4-power creature. And you know what? Late in the game, you want just some really big, fat, random creature. And actually can get evasion. If you cast an instant, if you cast a wizard spell, I mean, we have tons of wizards, so you just fly over everything. That's not too hard. So Amara Wizard is like the closest to playable, but still not playable, because I don't really want to play a land that enters the battlefield tapped for this stupid thing. Shambly says, what about a 1/3 flying? Let's see this stupid merfolk. It's terrible too, because it's more of a delver card, or it's like more of a prowess card than a merfolk card. Here it is, Umara Mystic. So Umara Mystic is a generic blue-red flying creature. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, Umara Mystic gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I don't know. Maybe we have enough wizards that makes this powerful. Maybe I shouldn't, like, because it triggers by wizard spells. So Silvergill Adept, Benthic Biomancer, Master of Wave, Merfolk Trickster, Harbinger of the Tides. Maybe this card is stronger than I think it is. That being said, not looking impressive. You know, counter target spell on your turn, it gets bigger. Who cares? Yeah, in Ether Vial doesn't cast it very well. Yeah, so like if we use, as Carrick has down here, if we vial in creatures with Ether Vial, it's not going to trigger it either. Okay, so if you're new to the show, if you want your questions answered, don't forget 3 question marks before the question, or 3 question marks and 3 question marks after, or you can go at Nikachu MTG, helps me find your questions and comments. Just like Quantum Bird is a regular here. What do you think about the land that comes into play tapped and also can be a spell? So I mean, in general, I think these are really cool. I mean, I really like that Wizards is trying this sort of stuff. So I'm very interested to know how this is gonna pan out because I really like the idea of I just personally I would prefer to play Magic with 0 flooding. Like almost like a Hearthstone where you're guaranteed mana every single turn and you're just going to empty your hand against your opponent and your opponent's going to empty their hand against you and whoever wins wins. I actually prefer Magic played like that, and I really have enjoyed Magic for the last year and a half ever since the London Mulligan became a thing. Like I definitely don't win. I definitely get a lot less free wins when my opponent just gets completely mana screwed. But it works on the flip side. I don't lose so many. I don't have so many non-games when from being mana screwed or flooded or anything like that. So I really like it in that regard. So I really like more things to mitigate flood, to mitigate all this stuff. So I really like the spell plus land ideas that they're doing. Speaking of Rest in Peace, what's the difference between Rest in Peace and Relic? So Rest in Peace is symmetrical. It hits both sides. But the thing is, you need to have white mana. Let's see, hold on. Rest in Peace is hands down the best graveyard hate spell in Modern. I mean, nothing competes with it whatsoever. The problem is you need to be in white in order to cast it. Like so that's the problem right now. Whereas when you take something like Relic of Progenitus, it's not as powerful as Rest in Peace, but it can be played by any deck, and it's seen played in Merfolk and Prowess. It sees play in Burn. So, and it can still interact with a giant chunk of deck. Still exiles the graveyard. It's just not permanent, and in exchange for that, you get to draw a card. So, I mean, that's the basic differences. I mean, if you're running white, you definitely want to be running Rest in Peace. It's just a way better card. Like when you need to wipe out the graveyard, this will do it. So the Uro decks will just look at this Rest in Peace and say, okay, I can't really do anything until this Rest in Peace leaves the battlefield. Probably there should be more Rest in Pieces in the format. It's probably relatively well positioned. I mean, this is also like okay against Lurrus Prowess, probably, to make sure that Lurrus does not get any food in the late game, and also Lava Darts don't get regurgitated. Might be some other interaction there. Not the biggest bomb, but they're always going to start the game with Lurrus. So yeah, so that's those are the basic differences. Great question. Party equals cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. I can always remember the wizard part. I guess I can remember the rogue part. Why are rogues and wizards friends all of a sudden? Isn't a rogue supposed to be on their own? They're rogue. Now all of a sudden they're teammates. I don't get it. Is that a flavor fail, or am I missing something? Oh, we have secret. Oh, so we can see the secret lair Yargle. It was linked to us. Okay, secret lair Yargle. So Yargle, can we see good pictures? Can't really see good pictures, but so we have Swords to Plowshares. Awkward choice. That's like, well, I guess it's a commander card too, but like in my competitive brain, I'm like, isn't this like Legacy? Why would they? But you can play in commander. We have Opt, Fatal Push, Anger the Gods, and Explore. Okay, so I was wrong. I thought it was Rest in Peace. I'm totally wrong. Yeah, if you're a fan of Yargle, I didn't know Yargle was so popular. Yeah, Yargle Secret Lair, which means they could do anything. They could have Secret Lair. I don't know. Philip, that Philip card. Who knows? That could be next. If you're playing on a budget and there's no fetches, then would you preordain better than would preordain be better than ponder? Yes, because being able to scry garbage cards to the bottom is very, very important. That is almost why Opt can't dig as deep as Serum Visions, but your card quality off of Opt is better than Serum Visions in Modern. Which is why I think a lot of people have been adopting Opt and like dump Serum Visions instantly, because you have to, or because you could draw a random card off of Serum Visions. I mean, this is not a good comparison. Sorry, this is just a crappy comparison. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. But yeah, without shuffle effects, Ponder. Actually, I would have to ask what a Delver player would want. Does digging deeper to 3 matter more if there's no shuffle effects, or is Preordain better? I would imagine Preordain is better. Oh, Bosanic says, by the way, it's me, Harris from Patreon. Maybe you can pronounce it easier like this. But you gotta call yourself Harris. It's hard for me to keep track of everybody. I can remember some people, so maybe I'll try to remember you, Harris. But like it's tough. It's tough when everyone has a different username on every platform. Cleansing Wildfire is really good since it cantrips. Absolutely. Quantum Bird. Would we fit the blue mythic land not spoiled yet if it gives us late game value, or are the 3 life to pay and the land untapped far too much? Yeah, I don't want any late game value out of the blue one. I'm willing. So that is why I've been cutting down on Horizon Canopies, or like Waterlog Groves recently. Especially. Oops. So the longer I expect the game, the worse the damage is. That's how it is. So if the card is good at closing the game out really quickly, then taking damage is not a problem. If you think the games are going to go longer and longer and longer, taking damage is a really big problem right now. Well, okay, well, I'm also reducing my Horizon lands because of all the damn prowess decks that are going on right now. Yeah, so I'll scrap this interaction, but the point that I want to make is that I'm willing to pay 3 life if I'm willing to pay 3 life if the spell is like really, really good. So that when this land is, when I need this as a land, it's fine, because late game, the spell part is also going to be good. Actually, you know what? I'm a little bit confused. We got to see what this card actually looks like. Because we have, okay, hold on, let's pull up one of these. I know they made an angel one. There's like a really good chunky spell. In white. And it's a flip land. Or it's a land. I don't know what they're calling these lands yet. If I remember, it was like, yeah, Ameria's Call. Here it is. Okay, so let's look at Ameria's Call. So this is a very newly designed card. It's a 7-mana sorcery where you can create 2 white 4/4 white angel warrior creature tokens with flying, and non-angel creatures you control gain indestructible until your next turn. So like they can block anything because they're not going to die. But it also could be a land that enters the battlefield tapped, or you can pay 3 life to make sure it doesn't enter the battlefield tapped. So I'm not thrilled with paying 3 life, but if I'm playing an aggressive version of Merfolk, I'm not going to mind it too much. It's going to be okay. So like the other half, I guess, yeah, you're asking if it gave us some really late game value. I guess it has to give us some really good late game value. I mean, I will pay the 3 life, especially in an aggro version of Merfolk. I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem. You already pay 3 life when you fetch and shock with most decks. So what's wrong with paying 3 life here? I think the cost is fine. The cost is accurate. You have the option to put it on the battlefield tapped anyway. So I'm really looking forward to the blue one. Hopefully it has something to do with creatures, which is hard for blue to do, but because it's always spell based in some way. I mean, I know this is a sorcery. Well, whatever. Hopefully they give us something good, like maybe even a good counter spell. You know, I could take that. I could take like a decent counter spell if they could give it to us. Anyway, I had a clumsy way of answering that, but I hope that's useful. So like basically, if it's a good card, we'll use it for sure. Chambly, I would have to see that 1/3 pumping Merfolk in action to believe it. Tron players died a little inside when they saw the Wildfire. Hopefully. You know, I wonder what it's like to be a Tron player. Every set, you're not really expecting anything to get added to your deck, but you know Wizards is out to just destroy your deck. because everyone hates Tron, and you know that you're really getting away with robbery playing with these lands that don't really have good answers in this format because there's no wasteland. That's right. Every set could be your death sentence. Yeah, the life is a resource. Now that Double Masters came out, do you think that Wizards of the Coast will start doing master sets more often again like they did 2 years ago, or is it going to be really rare? I mean, I don't think it's going to be rare. I think on average they were making master sets once every 2 years. It's not too rare. I think that's just how they're going to do it. And 1 year they splurged and gave us like 3 or 4 master sets all in a row, which was really weird. But I think we're going to get a master set on average, maybe on average once a year, but generally it's like once every 2 years. Maybe they'll do a few more every year. We're about to get Time Spiral, Time Spiral remasters. It's not really a master set, but it has like Chalice of the Void, so it feels like a master set. Yeah, cancel plus land would be pretty cool. I would probably play that. That would not be too bad. Would they put cancel on a land? Well, I mean, a land that would cost you 3 life. We'll see. As a Tron player, we love the salt, says Carrick. We also never expect anything and usually receive even less. You know what? How can I say it with Merfolk? I expect to get something, but nothing useful. So that's how I can speak on behalf of the Merfolk community. Look at we got a lot of Merfolk cards. We have so many Merfolk cards, and they're all a disaster. We have all sorts of Merfolk cards. Look, this is a Merfolk wizard. This is you're useless. Oh, we had an arena advertisement. Oh, damn, I clicked off. We have another Merfolk, another Merfolk, another Merfolk. They're all shit, though. Another Merfolk. They're all draft cards. Another Merfolk. Wizards. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? Anyway. Wizards is pushing further away from tempo Merfolk. Do you think new Merfolk decks will get better, like Spellslinger Merfolk or even Party Merfolk? Probably. Like I don't know what you mean by Spellslinger Merfolk or Party Merfolk. So I don't know how to answer. Like I don't think the party mechanic with Merfolk works at all. Like I don't even think the party mechanic works in limited. This is going to be really hard to see how anyone's going to like make this a thing in Constructed. I don't think it's going to work at all. What if instead of a counterspell stapled to a land, it was a spell that exiled target spell? That actually would be better. Because we need stuff that counters uncounterable crap. Maybe Modern Horizons 2 will have good Merfolk. I hope Sam Black and Brian Braunduin are Merfolk fans because they worked on the set. Well, of course, we're going to do deck reviews. We'll segue into that pretty soon. Are the spell lands spells everywhere but the stack, or lands everywhere but the stack? They all have the spells on the front, not the back. Good question. I do not have that answer. Does anyone have the answer to this? Are the spell lands is it a spell on the stack? What takes precedence? Or is it a spell in your hand? Can someone collective brutality that out of your hand? Ludwig Frigo, fan of Sandblack. I'm also a huge fan of Sandblack. I think if the land is flickered, it's going to come back in as a land. It can't come back in as a sorcery. They are what's on the front everywhere, but on the stack. I mean, they're definitely going to be a spell on the stack, no doubt about it. But what's the front side? Is the front side the land? The back side is the spell? What do we even consider the front side? They both look like a front side. It is one triangle, and the back has 3 triangles. What the hell are you talking about? Triangles? Okay, hold on. So there's one triangle here. There's 2 triangles here on the top left of the card. No, wait a minute. This is the same front. No, it's not the same front. Looks like the same thing. Maro said they're modal spells, so they're all spells, and he also said they're all lands on the back. So anyway, we're gonna need an official video or article on this to explain, you know, the interaction of these lands and spells. Yeah, Siege Sensei says all these merfolk make me remember the tribal announcement for Modern Horizons, and the only elf was a meme. I know they printed a meme card. Okay, we got a judge here. The exception, of course, is the pathways. Those can enter as either since the front half. So, okay, so what you're saying is there's spells by default, but they're lands on the back. Okay, so there's spells in hand. And of course, if you cast it as Amiria's Call, this is going to be a spell on the stack. There's no such thing as a land on the stack. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I can't wait to have my land Thoughtseize. That's 2020. 2020. Your lands can get Thoughtseize. Wow. I never thought about that. Yeah, the land should be on the back because the land side is simpler. This is going to get like more, like, I don't know, finicky on paper Magic. Like you're constantly taking the cards out, putting them back in and stuff like that. And like what if you forget? Okay, I guarantee you after a game, you're going to shuffle the land part face up into your deck. And then when you draw your hand, you see the land part, but you forget what the card does on the other side. So you're going to be like, take the card, put it underneath the table, and it's going to look like really shady. Or you have to like pull it out in front of your opponent and show them what you have. So if you play Golos and search for one of the double-sided lands, you can choose which side enters the battlefield. I'm pretty sure about that, yes. Absolutely. Land should be on the front because it would enable my shenanigans. It's gonna force some misplays, that's for sure. So, okay, what we can do, we can segue into deck review time. So, of course, if you have a deck to get reviewed, go ! Deck review space, put the URL of your deck list, and leave any comments like the format that you're in, where you need help. Is it budget? Is it not budget? It really helps me and also the community give feedback on your deck list. And while we wait for all the deck lists to get submitted, we can start thanking our sponsors of this show, themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. And of course, Fusion Gaming's weekly deal of the week, save up to 15% off all Theros Beyond singles. And of course, and I guess if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, they got some other stuff here. Their main game is Magic, though. So 15% off all Theros Beyond Death singles. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders. Mana Traders is the premier place to rent Magic cards online, and you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save 20% off your first 3 months by using my coupon code Nikachu. We're going to thank Mana Traders for being our sponsor. So as the deck lists get submitted, I'll put up the instructions how to do it and take a delicious sip of my coffee. These are essentially split cards, but they use the DFC format instead of pasting the cards on one side with some funky caveats. That is correct. I think the spell part of the top part and the land is the bottom part, so it can still be targeted by Thoughtseize and stuff. Still not sure. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. If the face-up card is the spell, then it's going to be targeted by Thoughtseize. Your lands can finally be taken in 2020. It's going to be really confusing to anyone who, how do I put it, doesn't know these cards. Like, imagine you thought see someone, you just see all spells, no lands, and you take something and you like think, okay, well, my opponent's screwed, they have no mana. And then they all of a sudden pull their card out, flip it over, then put it onto the battlefield taps. I mean, that's gonna be a funny interaction. New spoiler, what do you think of Archon of Ameria? Do we have a picture? Archon of Ameria. Is this a land or a white spell? Sounds like a white spell. Is it one of these Asian cards? Here. What is this card? Do we have a link? Archon of Ameria. Quantum Bird has something. Oh, I imagine this looks good. Thank you very much. Okay. 3 mana, flying. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Non-basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield taps. That is a very interesting combination. So a lot of cards like this have existed before. Good card. I think this is a good card. It's very similar to the 3 mana Thalia, except that now instead of creature, like it's got some of the abilities overlap. So now, you know, each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Decent clock, decent blocker, flying, great stats, and of course non-basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. Hopefully it's not too late at 3 mana, but I think it's still going to be good. Great card, great card. I think this can see modern play in some sort of Death and Taxes deck. Not sure what deck it's going to be played in. So really good question is it going to see a lot of play, or is it just going to see fringe play like the 3 mana Thalia? Because the 3 mana Thalia looked really promising, and it's good. Non-basic lands enter the battlefield tapped. Creatures your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. But it did not see as much play as we thought it would. It's still a very, very strong card. Yeah, 3 mana Thalia is pretty good. Like, I think 3 mana Thalia is very, very good. But the deal is does not actually see that much play. So Archon of Ameria might see more play because the taxing of how many spells you can play each turn is likely more important than your opponent's creatures entering the battlefield tapped. Anyway, this actually is very strong contender to see play in Modern. Very, very, very strong contender. Okay, so so the way it works here is if you've followed our instructions properly, your deck has been submitted to a pool of many different decks, and then we are going to pick one at random with our lovely bot that was created by 101 Nick. So hot chocolate, your deck, hot chocolate from Australia, that's Australian hot chocolate, has been chosen. Gotta love that hot. Oops. Where am I? How's the hot chocolate in Australia? Do you even want hot chocolate? Okay. Okay. So we are any information? Blue Black Control Pioneer. How to improve this deck? Well, what hot chocolate, what do you need help against? What are you losing to? You know, do you need improvement if you're already going 5-0? So you got 2 Scarab God, fantastic win condition, really. This one of the best for a blue-black control deck. Not going to complain about that at all. Narset Parter of Veils. Maybe you want more of these? I don't know why Deck Review Bot says, please include a link to your deck list, Teposlav. You did include a link. Don't worry, Teposlav, you did great. I struggle to get to 5 lands. Really? You have 25 lands. How many? And you have 4 opts 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Censors. I don't know why you're struggling. You're going to play the new Clearwater Path, fantastic land. Probably should have 4 Fable Passage, but I don't know for sure. Your mana base is good. Your mana base is good. I have nothing against your mana base. Oh, you did by room. Yeah, it's all good, Teplaslav. Okay, so what can I say here? You struggle to get to 5 lands. Yeah, like how? Okay, here's a good question. How many times have you played this deck? Now, from just looking at it, your list looks great. 4 fatal. It looks so clean. 4 fatal push, 4 op, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 censor, 2 thought erasure, 4 neutralize, 4 languish, 2 dig through time, 2 shark typhoon. I love your list. It's so clean. I probably want 1 more Narset Parter Avails. Do you struggle to get? Yeah, that's a good question. Do you struggle to get to 5 lands because you're dead already? I'm also a huge fan of 4-ofs. Although, like, a lot of control decks are not in the 4-of category because they use things like Narset to mitigate. Like, they would go... A lot of control decks go heavier on Narset and then chip away at the 4X cards because of... because you have consistency elsewhere, like Opt and stuff like that. Less than 10 times? I don't think you've put enough reps in with the list. I think you should just put in more. Is this a win condition? Create a 2/3 blue. Yeah, it is. So you should probably have. But you know what? Your win conditions are clunky. I would just top off at the Scarab God, or pick one of these. And I think Scarab God is better. And you go up more on other stuff, or have a win or have more planeswalkers at lower. Like I would rather you have more planeswalkers at a lower mana cost. Having like 4 or 5 drops, I think, is a bit much. Like, even in Blue-White Control, they play, like, 2 Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and then that's it. Because it's just too much. It's too clunky. So, we do have, like, Fatal Push, Opt. And by the way, if you're playing Fatal Push, you probably should be playing with more Fable Passage. So that you can increase the chances of you triggering Fatal Push. Okay, hold on. I gotta let my brothers here. Stop yelling. My brother's not supposed to be here right now, but he arrived anyway. He's coming uninvited. Yeah, but only has Fatal Push, but I mean, like, you want the Revolt for this. You want the Revolt. I have 4 Fatal Push. Doesn't that count? So you have early... You do have early interaction. But I guess you don't have any other permanent removal outside of Fatal Push. You're, like, more counterspell heavy. Which, whatever, maybe it's okay. Do we not have, like, a Planeswalker? So I would say this, replace this Planeswalker with a, somewhere on 4 mana, 3 mana, somewhere in that range, so that you can get more value on your curve, because this is, having four of these, I think, is too high. What does everyone else think? Whoops, missed the morning stream. Don't worry, we're doing it at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time from now on. You play more cantrip effects. The whole deck is a cantrip. Everything cantrips into each other. Nikachu's brother, the Ornithopter Master. So anyway, what's the mono blue Teferi? Oh yeah, there's a mono blue Teferi. Oh, there's also a 3 mana Ashiok. That's true. What is it? Ashiok. There's quite a few. How many Ashioks are there? Look, there's a lot of Ashioks here. But Ashiok Nightmare Weaver. I'm not a huge fan of Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, but maybe it's good enough. But you can't... I think the... you're too top heavy here. So anyway, I think the main deck looks fine. If you're talking about flooding, you're not going to flood. And I'm just curious, is the norm 2 Shark Typhoon in control decks now, or do they have more? Because this is a very good late game bomb. Oh, Drown in the Lock is a really good suggestion. Drown in the Lock is a pretty good idea. Counterspell and potential spot removal. But you need to be able to fill your opponent's graveyard with cards. Might be better than some. Well, whatever. I don't know how this deck plays out. I have full confidence based on this list. You will get to 5 lands on curve, 100%, 100%. You can get to 4. Curving out should not be a problem, but maybe your deck is a little top heavy and clunky. So I would just consider that. Let's look at your sideboard. Tormod's Crypt, Pithing Needle, Ether Gust, Ashok Dream Render, 3 Mystical Dispute, Unmoored Ego, Ritual Suit, Soot. You're doing great. I think actually the list looks great. I would try to whatever. I would say just jam more games. I think 10 games is too few for you to know exactly what's going on. I would agree with the crowd that you should try to maybe have some more permanent removal, because you do have a lot of, like, instead of you're using Thoughtseize, so you might not need Thought Erasure. Maybe some copies of Neutralize could be like spot removal on the battlefield, but anyway, I would definitely just replace this with another win condition that's better on the curve. So you have so you can go curve into 4 mana Planeswalker, into 5 mana beatdown creature, because once you get to 5, because you do nothing at 4 mana basically, and then at 5 mana you tap out. These are really expensive. They're just very, very expensive. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Don't worry about your curve. A nicely built deck. I really like it. Relic of Progenitus is not legal in Pioneer. That sucks. That's just how it is. All right, let's get to our next one. Oops. Ludwig Friedo's deck list has been chosen. Get to look at it on Scryfall. What is this? Okay, we have One of City. We're not One of City. So we have, I think, is a Fairy deck? Fairy Miscreant, Seer, Merfolk Trickster, Spellstutter Sprite, Brazen Borrower, Pestermite, Vendilion Click. Okay, Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, Menace, ETB, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Face down. It's like a Fact or Fiction face down. Ninja of the Deep Hours. Aha! We're playing a ninja deck. Rankle, Master of Pranks. Elder Deep Fiend. Oh, so you can sacrifice anything. Okay. I was just wondering. I couldn't remember if it was the total casting cost or whatever. What's with all the 1-ups though? 1 Fatal Push, 1 Vapor Snag, 1 Mana Leak, 1 Remand, 2 Dismember, 1 Force of Negation. That's a pretty pointless supply, a list of spells. Oh, Mr. Wian subscribing for 2 months in a row. Thank you very much for the 2 months, Mr. Yan. Mr. Wian. Did I miss anyone else? I don't think so. My name is pronounced Mr. Ryan with a W, but I don't care that much. Just be glad to be part of the wave. All right, thank Mr. Ryan. All right. This is the most unique way of spelling Mr. Ryan. Gotcha. You can choose visual to see the deck better. Oh, sweet. I do see the deck better. Now I can zoom out a little bit. Okay. Sideboard, 1 Tidebinder Mage, 1 Plague Engineer. So first off, I'm not a fan of the 1-ofs. I'm just not. The 1-ofs are because I don't want too many spells that trade cards 1 for 1. Yeah, but then you just have inconsistent cards. You will very, very rarely, you're very rarely going to find any of these, and you don't have any way of searching for them. You have no There's no way of digging through your deck to find your specific spells. So what you need to find out is when you're playing this deck, what are you losing to? Or what do you think you need? What do you think is going to be the most beneficial against all the decks that you're playing against? And you go all in on them. Because this is like, I guess these are similar, Fatal Push and Dismember. But Vapor Snag is a completely different card. Mana Leak is a completely different card. And I don't even believe in Remand right now. Especially in a deck like this. Because you don't have a lot of power. That's one problem with this. Well, okay, sorry, you have a little bit of power. You have Elder Deep Fiend. I will give you that. Elder Deep Fiend is power. That's for sure. And also, it really can like push your opponent around. Oh, and you know what? You can like Elder Deep Fiend, and if it's not blocked, you can like return it to your hand with Ninja of the Deep Hours, draw a card, and then recycle your Elder Deep Fiend. That's actually interesting. Okay, so my first suggestion is scrap the one-ofs. Pick a card you think that is good and go with it. You have to. This is just one Force Negation is not going to do it in this list. If you don't play with cantrips, you don't have the luxury of playing one-ofs very much. I mean, I know Jund tries to make it work, but I think Jund is wrong. Jund has been building their deck wrong forever. Oh, it's Mr. Mr. Wyan. Okay, so it's Mr. Wyan. Matthew, also thank you very much for the 2 months, Mr. Matthew. Matthew. So okay, so scrap the Remand. I hope you have enough power to close out the game. I might even want to go up on Elder Deep Fiend. Because I know from experience it's hard to win with like all this piddly crap. Especially this random one Trickster. This Trickster probably is not relevant in this deck. You might as well have like another Brazen Borrower instead because it's evasion and it's a fairy. There, I got it, Mr. Wyan. The creature stuff is fine? All right. We won't touch the creatures. So consolidate this. Like maybe 3 Dismembers, 3 Mana Leak. We could go with that. Or even, how about this? 3 Dismembers. Or you could leave it 1 Fatal Push, 2 Dismember. I don't care. 4 Force of Negation. I think that that might be more beneficial. Force of Negation, not the best card, but it's fine. Like it is a good card. And if you're gonna run one at all, run all of them, or don't run any of them at all. Now sideboard, we need to be more all in on stuff. Add more Plague Engineers. I think the 2 relics are fine. Or you want to be part of the show?
I'll tell you what's wrong with this deck.
All right.
No Ornithopter.
You hear that? There's no Ornithopter in this deck.
You need 4 Memnite. It's a turn 1 blocker against Goblin Guide. What other turn 1 cards? Against humans, they got their 1-drops. You now got a 2-power flyer that can block their dinky little 1/1s.
The 2 mana counters are important because I need to counter Teferi on turn 3 on the draw. Yeah, that's what Force Negation is for. That's what Force Negation is for. And it's way better. And if they don't, like, because it allows you to tap out if you need to. But it also allows you to just win. It allows you to counter something if you... It allows you to counter something no matter what. Let's just put it that way. Force Negation is your means of beating Teferi. So anyway, this is my suggestion. I think you should go heavier on Force of Negation in the main. If you want to play counter spells in the main, we should be... I think the Relic is fine. Pithing Needle is fine. You should have more Plague Engineers because Goblins is serious. 3 Ceremonious Rejection is fine. I don't know about the Spell Snare. This is too many counter spells. If you want to go up on more Spell Pierce, that's okay. But I actually think also Ether Gust is fine. And I'm not a huge fan of Surgical Extraction. You could just replace it with a Relic.
This new Merfolk that's attached to a land is really stupid.
Is it?
By the time you get this thing on the battlefield, you have all the mana you need. Why would you need 6 at this point?
I think Ether Gust is fine in Fish. Ether Gust is actually relatively well. It's pretty good right now for the most part. Goblins is impossible. Goblins is a buy for me. Then what do you need the Plague Engineer for? If it's not okay, then maybe you cut down on Plague Engineer. If goblins are goblins. Or are you saying it's impossible for you? I'm really confused. Goblins and spirits are impossible. Okay, are you beating this matchup or not? I'll just say this: if the matchup is brutally difficult, any Ether Vial deck is tough. Okay, then load up on Plague Engineer. If that's the card that if you need help, I mean that's the point of the sideboard cards. Load up on cards that are going to make a big impact. Go for Plague Engineer if you have to. Goblins is the worst Vial matchup. Go to 4 Plague Engineer in that matchup. Just go to 4. But you don't need help against Goblins. Goblins is the worst Vial matchup. I don't. We'll make it possible. Okay, you have 2 choices. You play Plague Engineer because you want to help those tribal matchups, or just don't play it at all and use other cards. You have to. We could have a conversation about this. You have to focus on the decks that you can beat. I will say, if you think that sideboard cards still are not going to help your matchups, then just forget about them. And that's okay. You can throw some matchups. Right now I'm sort of throwing a matchup against Prowess. I have thrown the Dredge matchup in the past. I've thrown the Affinity matchup in the past. So because your sideboard slots are precious. So if the card, which is narrow, let's not make any mistake, Plague Engineer is really narrow. If the card doesn't do anything in the Goblins matchup, then just scrap the whole thing. But if it does do something in some matchup, then go all in. I'd rather beat Prowess and Red-Green Ponza. Okay, that's fair. Then let's just dump all the Plague Engineers. Tidebinder Mage actually is not too bad against Prowess and Ponza. And then maybe play more Tidebinder Mages, less Spell Snares. Like, I'm not a fan. I don't know what you're bringing in Spell Snare for, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. You could go up on Ether Gust, which is good against Red-Green Ponza and Prowess. Like, it's good in both those matchups. So I would replace the Surgical with Relic. I would put all Force Negations in the main. I could replace the Spell Pierce and 2 Spell Snares to 4 Ether Gusts. Replace the Plague Engineer to 1 Tidebinder Mage. This deck could play Deprive if they wanted to. I could see Deprive in this list. Even in the main over something like Remand or Mana Leak. But it's up to the creator. Anyway, that's my feedback. That's the best I can do. And now that my brother's here, that means I gotta go. Time to go shopping today. We're all going to go shopping as a family. So I'm going to thank Mick Cafe for your delicious coffee. I paid for this coffee. I didn't get sponsored by it, but I'm going to thank them anyway.
I have to carry cat litter up the stairs?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have any cat litter left. The Chubby Meatball and Salud has gone through all the cat litter. Salud loves cat litter. Loves doing that stuff.
He loves the shit.
Yes, loves to crap. Loves doing all that stuff. Yeah, we're over already. Because if anyone, so we have a new time now. Yeah, I'm sure some people are just showing up right now thinking it's starting. We're now doing it Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. This is going to be the new time that we do it for the next few months. And that's show up. So it's gonna be earlier. Be here, Monday to Friday. And I'm going to thank basically everyone for showing up. I'm going to thank everyone who supports the channel. And I'm going to finish off by thanking my sponsors, themanabase.com and Mana Traders. So this has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master. I'm here with my brother. Thanking everyone for joining us for another great conversation of Coffee and MTG. So good luck to everybody, and I'll see you next time.
Use coupon code